Knowledge Upon Precepts presents Simply Blossom Step by Step with your host, Kay Perkins. Well, hello, steppers. Welcome back to Step by Step. I'm Kay, your host, and today I'm going to talk about something, depending on how your perspective is or where you are in your life, you would call it unforgiveness or forgiveness. As we're wrapping up this series on emotions, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on this particular topic because it's such a barrier to people in their lives and it prevents them from becoming who God created them to be. What prompted this subject is that I was looking through my news feed over the weekend and I saw a post where somebody was justifying themselves by saying that they didn't have to justify themselves. And one of the things that they said was that I don't forgive. And it penetrated my heart because I remember a time where I was in that place and I thought that I would have power if I didn't forgive people. Forgiveness was control. It was allowing people to get over on me. It was saying that, oh, it's okay to hurt me or whatever, and I'm going to forgive you anyway. But the truth of the matter is when my life started to change, it was when I decided to forgive and let go. Whether they apologized for what they did or not, whether I ever talked to them again and told them that I forgave them, it was enough to do it in my heart that began to free me up to see life in a different perspective. What I've learned over the years is that when I hold unforgiveness, the only person that's imprisoned is me. Most of the times when you touch back with people or talk to them about what they did and what you've been angry about, how they hurt you or whatever they've done to you, they don't even remember that they did it. They don't know what you're talking about. And so all these years you've been letting this thing fester and boil over inside of you and consume your precious time and thought life, and they don't even remember. And I think sometimes the reason that we are unable to forgive is that we really have never been taught to. Yes, the Bible says forgive so God can forgive you. Forgive our brothers. All these different things. We know forgiveness is a good thing, or it's supposed to be a good thing, but they never address really how. And sometimes we do want to forgive and we just don't understand how or have the tools to forgive. And so on today, I want to share with you the 3-step process of forgiveness. I learned this many years ago as I went through an inner healing theophostic session. When you're ready to move on and forgive and let go, there's 3 things that you have to consider. But before we touch on that, I want to talk about why we use unforgiveness as a weapon. Unforgiveness is the tool that we use to take control. It says, I have control over my life. But the fundamental truth of it is that none of us are in control. God is in control. And no matter how we try to use different things in our lives to create stability and to take control of our lives, the only thing that we can do to help us in this area is to trust God and His will for our life. So as we begin to approach getting to inner healing, being able to forgive, we have to consider, first thing is forgiveness is for us and not for anybody else. So when we venture into forgiving other people, it's really about gaining our peace back. And that is where, if there's any control that we have over our lives, it lies in that ability to forgive, release that person. When you forgive other people, you're saying that no matter what you did to me or whatever, I love myself enough to move forward and to live the best life that I can live. Happiness is the best revenge that we can give. Having our joy and our peace as we release people is something in our minds that it's just like a deep breath. Like, okay, I've let this go. And no matter how much we want the person to do right, to beg our pardon, to realize that what they did was wrong, they may never do that. And so why do we put ourselves and our happiness on hold trying to make someone else accountable for hurting us? All we do in this action is prolong the self-hurt, keeping us from becoming who we were created to be. And sometimes people are able to forgive the person and move on, but they still have issues and they don't know why. They keep rehearsing the story, what happened, over and over again, as if we can make changes or we could go back in time and do things differently. And I think that's where we fail sometimes, because in order to forgive other people, we also have to forgive ourselves for the things that we did, for the things that we didn't do, for the approaches we took. We rehash these things because we know that we're better than what we portrayed in that situation. And you have to forgive yourself for being human, for making mistakes, for not being perfect. And I think we hold ourselves to an unreasonable standard of who we should be or how we should handle situations. We do the best that we can with what we have. And as we make mistakes, we learn. The only thing that you can not tangibly forgive yourself for is if you choose to continue to live the same cycle over and over again and not take home the lessons that you're being taught in these instances where you fall down. It's okay to be wrong. And I don't think that we tell ourselves that enough. The world tells us that we have to be perfect. We have to fit into this mold. We have to have this image of perfection. But when God created us, He created us to be uniquely us, not to be a cheap carbon copy of someone else. So when you say, I forgive myself for how I did whatever, fill in the blank, you're saying it's okay for me to make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to take something away from this and I'm going to be a better person. This life walk is about being better than you were yesterday. It's not being like somebody else. It's not being perfect. It's about growing from glory to glory. It's about becoming the best version of yourself that you can be. So the forgiveness of yourself is the greatest gift that you can give yourself. And finally, what I want to talk to you about is really a taboo. And no matter what religion or walk you're in, nobody wants to say that they don't forgive God. We don't forgive God. We feel like, oh God, we're going to be struck by lightning. But I want to tell you a secret. When you hold and harbor unforgiveness against God, whether you tell Him or not, He sees, He knows. Unspoken or spoken, there's things that we need to deal with. Sometimes you just have to say, God, I'm angry at you for not being there and allowing me to go through that. Or God, I feel like you could have prevented this. Why did you let this happen? But once we said it, it's like a releasing inside of us. And whether you believe that sometimes it's the act of just getting it out that releases us, because He's able to respond and say, I know that you don't understand why I do what I do, but what I have for you is bigger than that situation, that person, that thing. You had to go through this to get to where I need you to be. This was a part of your process. Sometimes we need those answers. We need those confirmations that God was there and He cared, and what we went through was for a purpose. It's a part of our making. It's a part of our becoming. What I do know is as I began to implement these things into my life, it allowed me to break through barriers, jump over hurdles, allowing me to close the doors on some things that I thought I could never forget about. It provided closure on things that I never thought that I could get over. So as we wrap this up, what I want to tell you is that we face obstacles that we have to forgive, not to show God who we are. The purpose of forgiveness and being able to move forward is really a way of God showing us who we are. It's a blueprint, an understanding of who we were created to be. It's a way of providing us with the identity and reminding us, or even just bringing to the forefront of our minds, that we are bigger than the situations that we face. We are teachable and we can grow and to become a little bit more Christ-like every day, through every situation, Through every closed door, there's an open window, there's a way of escape. There was a new journey on the other side. But the thing is, as we do this thing, we have to take it step by step. Be gentle with ourselves and continue to move forward and extend the grace that God has given unto us. So until we meet again, be quick to forgive because it will release your healing. Be blessed, my friends. Take care.